Welcome. I was just counting up how many times we've had Dragon Talks, and this is our 28th Dragon Talks. So each time we've normally had two speakers. So what's that? 2 times 28, 56. We've got at least 56 speakers there, which is amazing. And of course, if you were around in July, you would have seen all those beautiful 36 speakers talking about dragons. Today we've got two speakers from the States, which is beautiful. So it's early in the morning for them. And our first speaker is Robert, and our second speaker will be Maggie. Again, can't speak. And so I'll give you a quick intro to Robert. And he's going to be speaking about the Wheel of the Year. And I'm sure sharing anything else about dragons. He's got that gorgeous dragon hanging behind his head, as you can see. So Robert is the founder of I never saw it, is it Wyvern or Wyvern? How would you say?
Wyvern. Wyvern.
Wyvern. So he's the founder of the Wyvern Academy of Witchcraft in Los Angeles, where he teaches Celtic, Nordic, and Draconic traditions. He guides students on the path of the witch, the warrior, and the wyvern. Oh, sounds amazing. I'm sure you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about that. So, Robert, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Kevin. I'm very glad to be here. I'm looking forward to a discussion about the Wheel of the Year. I don't know how many here follow the Wheel of the Year. Raise your hand if you do.
What
No?
do you
Okay.
mean by the Wheel of the Year? I think we're all about, what do you mean
Yep.
by it?
Okay. I figured if you're familiar with the Wheel of the Year, you
Maggie's
would know
got a
that
thumbs up.
factor. Um, it's referred to as the Witch's Wheel of the Year, and it is I want you to visualize it as one of those graphic pies that you see that has cutouts that says, oh, this percentage is that. Cut the pie in half, and it is divided into two sides, the light half of the year and the dark half of the year. Now, the light half of the year begins with the winter solstice. Now, you may think, well, when it's winter, the skies are dark. Yes, that's very true. And the dark half of the year begins with the summer solstice. Now, you may see that my cats keep going back and forth. So if you happen to see something pass by, that's what that is. The light half of the year goes from the winter solstice to the summer solstice, in which the light, the sun, the earth is in a state of rebirth. And the sun and its energy reaches its maximum potential at the summer solstice, because that is the longest day of the year. And it's usually like June 21st, June 22nd. From that day forward to the winter solstice, the days get shorter, even if it's just by 30 seconds. And at the winter solstice, that is the shortest day of the year, where the darkness, the night is longer than the day at that point. So the light diminishes, hence what we call the dark half of the year. Now, if you put a cross, you have your pie, light half, dark half. And if you put a horizontal line, you are including the equinoxes. And the equinoxes are the autumn equinox and the spring equinox. There is a book that I would like to recommend to everyone. I don't know if you can see it here. It's called Year of the Magical Dragon, and it's by Virginia Chandler. This artwork is pretty wonderful. It's by Anne Stokes, which is on the cover. Now, I know that we have some authors here in attendance, but I'm going to concentrate on what Virginia goes, how she dissects the Sabbats. So there are 8 Sabbats in the Wheel of the Year. And the witch's new year begins with Samhain, which we know as Halloween. She describes what we should be giving to the dragons by honoring our ancestors, really, the dragon ancestors. When we perform ritual, we have purpose. And if you don't have purpose, then your ritual needs to take some shape. Yes, you can give yourself cleansings. Yes, you can give yourself, a journey, a metaphysical journey that you can take, an astral journey. But the idea of performing a ritual as if you were going to church, and that's kind of what I like to call a church for witches. Everything that you do must have intent in order for your magic to be successful. So at Samhain, we want to honor those that have gone before us. We want to give back to the ancestors that have gone before us, our teachers, our mentors, the spirits that we have encountered in our lives thus far that have propelled us forward. Those spirits may have passed from this realm. Some of them may still be in this realm. But we want to give, we want to hold their memory and their teachings alive with us. Now, one of the first Samhain rituals that I was included in was in Salem, Massachusetts. And I really felt during that ritual, we honored all of the victims of the Salem witch trials by calling their names one by one and lighting a candle. And that was in honor of what they went through in order to, well, have a time in history that was not so good for us, for humanity. And to be honest with you, they probably weren't, there was probably only one real witch there, and it was probably Bridget Bishop, who was a midwife. The others were really not, they were just accused. But we honor what they went through in order to bring us to where we are today. There's always going to be oppression. There's always going to be people who are going to want to take from you physical, emotional, spiritual. But a lot of people out there want to take your energy. And in the metaphysical world, we call them psychic vampires. Now, that's not That's, don't think of that as a negative or an incorrect term. Those are spirits that need to have our energy for them to survive. A lot of witches don't, they want to stay clear from being siphoned of all of their energy. There are 4 major Sabbats in the year: Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lunasa. And then in between those, there are 4 minor Sabbats, which are Yule, Ostara, Litha, and Mabon, or sometimes pronounced Mabon, which is based on the writing of the Mabinogion or the Mabinogion. We follow the wheel of the year as a cycle in our lives. Like I had mentioned, it is life, death, and rebirth. It is not only a spiritual journey, it's a psychological journey. And capitalism actually helps us to basically get in the mood. How many of you have already seen holiday decorations in your local stores? Yeah. Capitalism is it does its job to prepare all of us for the coming season, which we call Sabbats. Yule, which we all know as Christmas time. We send Yuletide greetings to everyone during this time. But what is Yule? Okay, it's the winter solstice, so it's the end of the dark half of the year and the beginning of the light half of the year. Now, in the book, The Year of the Magical Dragon, this Sabbat is described as a Sabbath that honors the ice dragons. What does ice do? It freezes, it solidifies, it preserves. But it's also very fragile. And I love the correspondence between ice and the Nordic rune Isa, which just looks like our letter I in the alphabet. Ice can, as we know, sink a ship. But if the temperature is high enough, ice melts. So it's really not as fragile as, or it's really not as strong as we think it is. It has a lot of fragility to it. During Yule, we celebrate the cold. We celebrate what the new year will bring. But we also have a responsibility to melt away that which no longer serves us. One of the rituals that I like to do during Yule is to have all of the participants in my circle hold a very large cube of ice throughout the ritual, and you let that ice melt in your hands. What's the purpose of this? We project all of what we want to let go in our lives. We project that into the ice, and we allow that to melt. It is a physical manifestation of shedding, symbolically, that which no longer serves us. So that just like the new light that is coming after the winter solstice, we can also be free from trauma, pain, anything that no longer is needed for us to make our journeys in our lives. Now, holding an ice cube that's fairly large for a long period of time can cause a definite effect on your hands. But that's the goal, because not only are you shedding yourself spiritually, but you're physically changing. You are physically allowing what you have put into that ice cube to melt, to dissipate, to transform from a solid to a liquid, and then eventually to air. It evaporates. Now, interesting, where would we find ice dragons? Well, sure, you could say, well, they're in the North Pole, they're in the South Pole, high up in the mountains where there's snow. But you can find them within all of our environments. Everything that we encounter is magic. There's nothing that is supernatural. Everything is natural. So to experience the ice dragons, yeah, put some water in the freezer and you've got a solid form that you can place dragon energy into to help you to accomplish what you need to do. Yule is followed by Imbolc. The translation of Imbolc literally means use milk. And it is a Sabbath that is to honor the goddess Bridget or Breed, depending on what part of Ireland you come from, because she is an Irish goddess. Now, in the dragon world, we bring the dragons in from the cold and into the hearth. The hearth, which for most of us, we would call the kitchen or the fireplace, which is the center of the home. It is a place where we gather with our loved ones. It is a place that is welcoming It's welcoming because we are preparing ourselves symbolically for the return of the sun, the return of the light in its full strength. Imbolc normally arrives around February 1st or 2nd. We refer to it as the witch's spring because this is the time when the seeds of the earth below the soil begin to sprout. This is when mothers underground in their dens that they created give birth to their offspring. It is a time when the goddess begins to stir from her long winter's rest. So we do that as well. We begin our ascent from the dark half of the year into the light. Now, how do we do that? To honor the hearth dragons, make bread. Light a fire in your fireplace, in your hearth. It is the warmth that is created between members of humanity that we want to reestablish after a long, cold winter where we stay indoors. Now, in this book, there are rituals that are presented that one can do to pertain, that rituals that pertain to each of the Sabbats, but these rituals are the author's rituals. I am a firm believer in having the individual, the practitioner, write their own ritual. It does not matter what words you say. I know that I've talked to a lot of witchlings who were concerned about, well, I don't know what to say. What do I do? No. You let the spirit within you come through without any restrictions, without any, okay, I don't want to, I shouldn't say that. I don't know what people are going to think. No, no, no. If you feel it in a ritual, say it. If you feel it, do it. All that you have to remember is that there will be consequences because every action has a reaction. Just know that your intent is going to give you the outcome that you desire. That's very important. All of this is very personal. Astrology is a science. That's a very given. It is a science. Witchcraft is very personal. How you view your place in this world, how you view your presence and those of the dragons that are guiding you. What is your presence like with them? What is your relationship? That's an important question. How do you see them? They're synonymous with angels. They're synonymous with demons. They're synonymous with gods and goddesses. They're synonymous with cosmic energy. I like to view my hearth dragons as fire dragons, because they are the ones that will bring the sun back to its full strength to illuminate not only the celestial body that we exist on, but they will help to illuminate our spirit, our soul, our energy. When you light a fire, you are lighting a fire not only to cook food or to keep warm, but to keep that burning fire of creativity, that burning passion of youthfulness alive within you. Don't take it lightly. That's why it's important when you do light a fire, light it with a match. Yeah, lighters are very convenient, and I have to say I'm guilty. I've used them. But when you strike a match and you light a fire with that energy, it's transformative. It's something that is much different than lighting something with a big lighter. From Imbolc, we arrive at Ostara. Ostara is the spring equinox, sometimes called the vernal equinox. That is when that spring, really. It's also the Easter season that we all know. Mother Earth has given birth. It's given birth to plants, given birth to animals, given birth to the world. She brought new life into the world. These are the dragons of making. What are they making? That's an interesting question. These are the dragons of making. What are they making? They're making new life. Maybe making new dragons. They have awakened from slumber, and they are ready to create new life. How are we going to achieve that in our lives? We sometimes, we have been taught to do that through our lives, through spring cleaning. That is something that everybody does every year. Oh, I got to do my spring cleaning. That's a rebirth. You're waking up. You're cleaning. You are creating a new space to live in. Again, shedding that which no longer serves you. Cleaning out your closet. Getting rid of clothes that don't fit you anymore. Getting rid of kitchen supplies that you don't use. I think that when we make room in our lives, opportunities find their way to us. I've always liked to tell people, when you go shopping for new clothes and you have a day that you go to the clothing store and everything that you try on fits you perfectly and you feel fantastic, you buy it because it makes you feel good. But you come home, you open up your closet and you say, oh my God, now where am I going to put it? I don't even have any extra hangers. If you would have cleaned the closet, made room for new clothes, made room for new shoes, you wouldn't have had that problem. I think that we do things somewhat in reverse sometimes as humans. Make room for new opportunities. In that way, that's what the dragons of making are helping you to do. Make yourself new. Make yourself achieve higher goals. Make yourself able to change with the changes of the environment. Now, that may sound a little ethereal, but when you really think about it, to change with your environment is to assimilate into where you are and to become one with where you are, to make yourself more efficient in your life where you are, and to hopefully have a clearer path ahead of you. From Ostara, we move to Beltane. Beltane, which is a major Sabbath, is the great rite. It is the union of male and female. It is the union of the god and goddess. To put it very plainly, it is a celebration of sexuality. It is a time that celebrates that primal, I guess, the primal animals that exist within us. Now, these are dragons that wake you up. These are dragons that allow you to reproduce your desires, your goals, the achievements that you still want to acquire in your life. They're telling you to wake up, live life. Wake up and feel your physical powers. Wake up from that creative period and celebrate what you have become. You have to ask yourself, what did you become? Any advancement in our journey is an achievement. It's moving ourselves forward. It is moving ourselves into a place where the universe wants us to be. I don't think that it's very wise to kind of push the universe to put you where you need to be. The universe, the powers that we refer to as the all, or the cosmic dragons, they know where to put you. Sometimes we call that predestiny. If you are not on a path to become a politician, you're not going to. Where do you want to be in life? Where do you want to share your knowledge? Where do you want to learn new knowledge? That's about waking up, opening up your mind to ideas, theories, frames of consciousness that perhaps you have not explored before, but you want to listen, you want to feel, you want to become a part of something that is new to you. The whole thing now about the woke generation, there's people that they don't want to wake up. There's people that they just simply don't want to expand their brain capacity in order to accept different views, different opinions, because they are so comfortable being where they are. That's not growth. That's not growth. Now, you can do this at your own pace. You don't need to accept things that are not correct for you. But what I would ask you to do is to think about why it's not correct for you and why it might be correct for somebody else. That will keep you in balance. That's what they're talking about. That's woke. It might not be correct for you. That does not mean it's not correct for somebody else, but why is it correct for them and not you? The next Sabbath that we encounter is on the wheel is Litha. Litha is the summer solstice. We refer to that as the Sabbath of the golden dragons. And the dragon behind me would classify as a golden dragon. The sun, the rays of the sun are shining through its wings. It brings the idea of a phoenix into our minds, rising from the ashes. The phoenix that rises from the soil, from the dirt, from destruction, that ascends to a great height and takes you with it. Are you ready to take the journey? Are you ready to say, I can rise above? I can be that shining light for others to follow. We all are looking for people in our lives that can guide us through our journeys, people who can hold our hand when things get scared, whether it's physically or emotionally. How many times have you walked through the haunted house at some carnival, and when you open up that exit door and you see the light again, somewhat relieved? That fear of the unknown, or what is going to block your path, doesn't exist anymore. It's not there. Why? Because your light is too bright. Your light blinds the darkness. Maybe it burns the dark. Now, that's not to say that you can't be in the dark, because I think that you definitely need to be in the dark to understand what the light is. That's why with the Wheel of the Year, you must go through the dark half and the light half to understand what both sides can give you. Golden dragon. When we think of gold, we think of riches. We think of something very precious. That's exactly what these dragons are. They're precious to our balance in life. Now, those of us that live in Southern California, we are very fortunate because we have a lot of sunshine here. So the golden dragons are quite active. Beneath the hills here, the San Jacinto Mountains, I see dragons in the mountain range all the time, scrying into the clouds above the mountains, the rock dragons. Maggie, I'm sure that you did that as well while you were here, and you're probably doing that in Redlands. If you have the ability to scry into nature and you see a dragon, don't doubt yourself. You're seeing it for a reason. The universe is allowing you that ability to see perhaps what somebody else cannot see. But it's a direct clarification to you that what you are envisioning is real and it's beside you. Lunasa, which is our next Sabbath on the Wheel of the Year, which is also a major Sabbath. It's a celebration of the harvest. In the ancient times, Lunasa was a Sabbath that celebrated the first round of crops. which was a clear indication of whether our ancestors were going to make enough to sustain themselves during the winter. The Lunasa dragons are the dragons of victory. They are the dragons that allow us to be pleased with the victories that we have achieved in our lives, the abundance that we have brought to us and to others. When we think of a victory, we think of winning, we think of our achievements, we think of opportunities that have come forth to move us forward in life. Yes, I've had a victory. I did this, I did that. I achieved this. Well, there are dragons that helped you to do it. And they are the victory dragons. The final Sabbath of the 8 is Mabon. And Mabon, which is the autumn equinox, is basically the witch's Thanksgiving. And these are, this is again a harvest time of year. And we honor the dragons that have given us the bounty in our harvest, in our life's harvest. Now, there are many books that you can get that will go through the Wheel of the Year. And I would recommend that anyone who is, interested in reading other people's journeys, other people's interpretations of what this wheel is, it's a good thing. We all have different experiences in life, but what unifies us is that our journeys, it's universal. We all go through the same life, just different degrees. We all can be happy, we all can be sad, we all may have health problems, we all have joyful times. Events that are synonymous in each of our lives may happen at different times in our lives, but that really is a result of the universe giving you those joys when you're ready. Normally after a period of darkness. I think that the truly interesting and transformational journey that happens when you allow yourself to follow the cycle of the seasons, the wheel of the year, you become closer to the earth. You become closer to the energies of the seasons. You become closer to not so much timing, because timing is a man-made yeah, what's the word? The timing is man-made. It's not something that is natural to the earth. But when you follow the wheel of the year and the moon phases and the equinoxes and the solstice, you become closer with the celestial bodies that we inhabit. And if you think of the dragons as being celestial, and they are, they are. Some people, for some people, the dragons are, hidden away somewhere, like Bigfoot, always looking to be found. But the celestial dragons, which I like to view as the constellations, move in a way around this celestial body that guide you to where you need to be. That energy is important. Each of us has an energy that is unique to our person, to our spirit, to our soul. It's unique to how we move through the world. And when you are in a state of balance, the world is much easier to navigate. That's very important. If you live a chaotic life, you're going to live in a chaotic world, even if it is your own world. Don't forget to honor all of the seasons, all of the dragons that help to guide you to where you want to be, where you need to be, where you desire to be. Ultimately, the journey is yours. You can start and stop it at any time. And I have taken breaks. You take breaks to recalibrate yourself, recalibrate your inner sanctum. I think that we move too fast. As a society, we move too fast. Are we meant to be agents of chaos? Maybe. What comes out of chaos? Order. Find the order within you to control the chaos that surrounds you. I thank all of you for listening, and I hope that everybody got something from me sharing my journey with you. And once again, if you are interested in learning more about the Wheel of the Year, this book, Year of the Magical Dragon, I'm sorry that it's not being Year of the Magical Dragon, and it's by Virginia Chandler, who is an American author. And like I said, the artwork on the front of the cover is by Anne Stokes, who is a very popular British dragon artist who I'm proud to say that I'm friends with. Does anybody have any questions? Would anybody like to speak up and describe a personal experience or ask any questions about what I have discussed? No? Okay. I wish you all a joyful journey in life, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Robert. There's lots of thank yous, and that was very interesting. It's fascinating. And I've put your website link and your Facebook link, and I've also found the link for the Magical Dragon seasonal journey. So I've put that in there as well in the comments, so people can find you. And of course, on the dragontalks.info, we've got your full bio and your lovely smiley face, so people can find you there. And if they want to connect with you, is it best just through your website?
I would say probably at this point, Facebook. My website is being redone, so
Okay.
Facebook or
Yes.
Instagram.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much. It's very interesting
Thank you
to
very much.
learn lots. So thank you.